Hello and welcome to day 5 and our final day of our local history week here at Monaghan County Libraries. So during the week we have been primarily concentrating on genealogy. Today we're going to look at local history through the eyes of children and the National Folklore Collection. So if we click into our genealogy and local history link and then scroll down to the bottom of the page, we'll see this copybook. If you click on that, that's going to bring us directly to the County Monaghan schools. So the National Folklore Collection was carried out throughout the 1930s. Altogether, there's about 40,000 children's copybooks that are being held by the National Folklore Collection, and that's in UCD. So the link from our webpage will take you directly to the County Monaghan schools, but if you are interested in other counties, you can see there on the left-hand side, there's a full list of the other counties. You can just click into them. But for handiness, we have just linked to the Monaghan schools. Now, so the children were asked to collect stories from grandparents, parents, and they were asked to record stories about things like local cures, local customs, local heroes. You find a lot of references to fairies and ghosts among the stories as well. So there really are a treasure trove just to get lost in. So one of the first things you might notice from looking at the Monaghan collection is the number of schools. So it says here there's 147. At the minute, we're about 64 primary schools across the county. So you will notice a lot of schools coming up here that are no longer in existence. The other thing you might notice just from looking at these is the percentage transcribed. So although the full collections are available for each school listed, not all of them have been fully transcribed. So if we go into Dunamine, for example, and use the wee arrow to turn the page. So you can see here in the centre of the page, we have the original copy. You can see the story that was originally handwritten, but then along the side here, somebody has transcribed it. And this is part of a volunteer transcription project. So there's a lot of them done, but there's still a lot more to do as well. But you may find it easier to read the typed version of the story than the handwritten one, although the handwritten here is beautifully written. So any of the ones that are transcribed as well actually have the added bonus of almost having chapters along the side here. So you can see within this school, if you wanted to learn what they collected on cures, you just click on cures and it brings you to the page on cures. So that's quite useful. We could look again at the games that were played. I love this one here, actually. It's a game called Wee Widow. I'd never heard of it before, but the children used to stand in a ring and chant, "Here's a wee widow, she lies alone. She wants a man and she can't get none. She flies to the east, she flies to the west. She flies to the very one she loves the best." And then she would pick the one she loved the best out of the crowd. So you can imagine children playing that. So these copybooks are great for just giving you the context of the time. And, you know, if you have been doing your genealogy in your family tree and you've traced back your grandfather or great-grandfather to the 1930s, this is the type of game that they would have been playing in the playground at school. So I just think that's lovely. I just picked out a few other ones this morning that might be of interest. So this one here is from a Carrick school, and it's got a bit of the history of Monaghan Castle. We have one here from the Common School in Monaghan. It gives a record of the Great Wind of 1857. We've one here from Bartatoppy, and this is about a very stormy night on October 3rd, 1829, when a man was supposed to be hanged, but the big storm came and they weren't able to do it. And then we have another one here from Orbalshany that explains how people got their nicknames. So sometimes it was to do with the person's Christian name and where they were from. Sometimes it was the characteristics of the father or mother. Sometimes it was the jobs that they had done, the occupations of the parents or grandparents. So you can see this is amazing information contained within these copybooks. You've also information, say, there on the local hedge schools. You also have listed there things like names of fields. So if, for example, there's a field in your area that has a common name on it and you never knew where it came from, it may well be recorded in the likes of these copies. You also have a search function here in the folklore collection. So if you are particularly interested in what the children had to say about fairies, you could type in fairies. Then you have your listings in for all the results for fairies. You can see there if they have been transcribed, you'll get the section of the transcription as well. So This one here is a great one. So we've seen the Great Wind story coming up earlier on. The cause of the Great Wind then seemingly was because the English and Irish fairies were going to go to war, and if the Irish fairies were beaten that night, the wildest storm for a century would happen. So some just the stories you find are absolutely fantastic, and as I said, you could spend hours looking through them. So this is one for, I've done a search for weddings. You can see the different ones coming back on wedding customs, wedding clothes. There's one here on local heroes. Some of the stories in the local heroes sections are fantastic as well. There's ones about boys who were able to lift cows on the back of their shoulders 8 miles home from them. You know, just as I said, you could just spend hours having a wee look through these, and I would recommend that you do because they really are worth the while. So that's a quick look at the folklore collection. It's just the type of thing you need to go in and explore yourself, especially if you find a school local to yourself, which you should do, and just read about the people that were living around your area and going to school there at the time. So I hope you enjoy that, and thanks very much for staying with us all week.